Welcome to This Town Brisbane. We visit the places, attend the events and meet the people that make this town Brisbane. I'm Paul Campion.
And I'm Bryony Benjamin. Thanks for joining us. How are you, Campo? You well?
I'm well, very busy running around. You know how it is.
Oh, absolutely. I know the feeling. But today on the show, Abby takes us to Yoga Fest, Australia's biggest yoga festival in Bowen Hills, for a bit of peace and calm.
And Amina attends the festivities at the Multicultural Refugee Day in Artelier.
And first of all, though, Libby is going to take us to a French-inspired art workshop where she learns that art is 10% inspiration and 90% perception and practice.
Get ready to get out your paintbrush, your canvas and your easel, because today I'll be showing you Artelier, an art studio in Salisbury, where I believe it is the only one in Brisbane where an age-old tradition is being kept alive right here in these studios. Let's go check it out.
Because this is a cylinder and this is below also where the brow line comes across. That is, think of it, it's in that shape. And you can keep those things very, if they're both the same, then you do a fine job. And if they're not, you've just simply got to reassess what it is that you're doing. Ribcage line, darken, yeah, exactly. And then his hip is out, so it's turning into the light. Put in the vertical line now.
Nick, Artelier. It's of French origin, I believe.
Yeah. An atelier is a studio or a workshop where the student will come to sort of learn at the hands of, I suppose a master painter, somebody who's already learned their craft. The three of us, Scott, Ryan and myself, have all got our studios surrounding the sort of teaching space that we work from. And I think what that does, that adds an extra dimension, a dimension of reality, so that the students can actually see what's going on in our working lives, as well as sort of obviously understanding what it is that we're trying to teach them. The atelier, as far as we can, we've reset in Salisbury.
Yeah. So it's a real workshop environment.
Yeah.
Ryan, you're one of the partners here. If you could just tell us a bit about how your career started.
Yep, I got some great help very young when I was at high school. Teachers helped me to build my skills and help me to sort of learn about what I wanted to do. So I decided to be an artist very, very young. I went to Sydney to Julian National Art School, and it really changed my life there. It was a very disciplined education. It was great because I think I learnt a lot of hard lessons early on, so they haven't sort of caught up with me. I've solved them, and I'm pretty free to do what I want.
So from the Julian Ashton Art School, were there any other places you went to gain experience?
I did. I travelled internationally. I received a travelling scholarship to do that. So I went through Europe and studied in galleries and did my own sort of study, as well as going through a sort of classical sort of study in Florence, Italy. So I got to see great artworks, while doing some pretty amazing intensive study, and it just reinforced what I wanted to do in my life. I wanted to make artwork, to be around artists, to teach also.
It's valuable to me. Having recently retired, this is something that I've been wanting to do for years and years. So it's been a great opportunity. It's interesting that the people that I've met here have come from all over, Canberra, Bundaberg, and they've all come here because the place has a good reputation. And they tell me how lucky we are. I didn't realise that I'd got into something that's a little bit unique.
Scott, so I'd really like to just, get in there. I'm a first timer. Is there any hope for me, like with form? How can I go about that?
Absolutely, there's hope for you. So we try to break down all of the different skills that go into being able to draw, being able to paint. So we start with looking at seeing shapes accurately within the thing that you're observing. We then break down the fundamental forms, the geometric forms that you're seeing, the cylinders, sphere, prism, and we observe them in organic form, because ultimately we're not interested in drawing cylinders and boxes. We're interested in drawing something like a human form or a landscape or something like that. So we learn to observe those fundamental forms, which are much simpler to deal with. We learn to observe them in these complex organic forms. Okay. So that's really the way forward. We also, as you can see around you, the casts that we have here are they're ways of investigating the figure. They're much clearer to see the anatomy or to see those basic building blocks of the figure than usually what you see in a real living figure. So that's why we begin with drawing from the cast, and then we move into drawing from the model or from life. Yeah.
So you're really trying to hone in on the core skills.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. That's right.
Well, who comes to your classes?
We get all sorts of people, and through a life drawing session you could expect to see perhaps a railway labourer next to a doctor. We have, in the last sort of couple of weeks, had a woman who's been working on The Hobbit over in New Zealand for the last sort of 14 months or so. She came over to come to our art school because she looked at the web, and we obviously do things that she wanted to see. We have another chap who's a senior character designer at Sega Games. It's the international computer company, who's been coming to us so that instead of working digitally with programs like ZBrush or whatever, he can actually work and manipulate materials with his hands. He can sculpt. That's what we're teaching him. The other people that come along for a whole variety of reasons. It might be that they were good at art at school and life has just got in the way, and they want to do sort of what they were good at now and give themselves that opportunity. We also see a good number of students from the art college in the city. The type of education that they receive there isn't what they receive here. We go back to the basics. We teach them real skills. Theirs is a lot more subjective, a lot more experimental, a lot more conceptual, and that isn't what a lot of people want. It's certainly not what I wanted. Beyond that, then anyone with an interest and a love in fine art.
Well, that's about all from me here at Artelier Art Classes. I've had a really good time here meeting Nick, Ryan and Scott. You should go check out the web, atelierartclasses.com. And that's all from me. I'm Libby Glasson for This Town, Brisbane.
Coming up after the break, Abby goes into a deeper state of relaxation at Brisbane's 6th Annual Yoga Fest.